Hello all, today I'm going to be talking about Megan 2.0, which comes out in cinemas in Australia tomorrow, and I'm super excited to see it and talk about it. My partner and I saw the first one back in 2023 when it came out, and we had an awesome time watching watching the first one at the cinemas. The audience was very respectful of everyone, people were laughing, people were very engaged. And we had such a fun time at the cinema, so I really hope that we get that this time as well. So in this one we have the return of Gerard Johnston, who directed the first film, and he's back teaming up with James Wan, who's also attached to the film. And pretty much anything James Wan is attached to in the horror genre I will watch, because some of his past work are amongst my all-time favourites, so it's another reason why I'm excited to see this. And in this one we have Katie and Gemma teaming up with Megan to capture a military grade android named Amelia, who's wanting to attempt an AI takeover. And it does seem like this one is leading more into sci-fi action compared to sci-fi horror from the first film. So I am keen to see how they integrate the sci-fi action elements into this one. And who knows, maybe down the track, if they continue this franchise, they can continue with the horror, but I think it's good that they've changed it up a bit for this one. And they also, from what I've seen, they're keeping the goofiness and the silliness and the humor from the first film. So yeah, we'll see how that turns out. So if you've seen the first film, you will know that these films are not to be taken seriously at all. They are just really about going to the movies and having a fun time with some friends and having a laugh and enjoying some of the kills. I do hope that, I know that this is rated M in Australia or PG-13 in other countries, so I do hope that they have some gore, to be honest. I am a sucker for gore, and the first one, although that the unrated version did have slightly more, it was still a bit toned down, I think. I think they want to appeal, to a wider audience and a younger audience as well, so I get that. But regardless, I'm sure I'll still have a fun time watching it. But who knows, maybe they'll release an unrated version of this at some point, we'll see. Yes, it's very cold in Melbourne right now. Anyway, I got back from seeing Megan 2.0 last night, and here are my thoughts. So the film does take a bit of time before we actually get introduced again to Megan. It takes some time setting up the plot with the main villain and what she's intending on doing, and there is a lot of spy stuff going on. And I'll be completely honest, there were parts throughout this movie where I got a bit lost, and so did my partner, who was sitting right next to me, and I could see he was yawning throughout, and I was like, oh gosh, is he not enjoying himself? Obviously you want to share that experience of enjoyment when you're watching a film with someone. So he turns to me and he was like, there's a lot going on, and I was like, yeah, I completely agree with you. At times it was hard to follow what was going on exactly. But I've never been a huge fan of the spy films, and it did feel like that throughout the film. Absolutely no horror whatsoever. I'm just gonna put that out there. If you are expecting that, yeah, it's definitely action sci-fi comedy, I would say. Definitely not horror. But like I said, the entertainment value, it is still enjoyable. Entertainment value is still there. The Megan sass is still there. Like when she comes on screen, I'm just like, yes, Megan, yes, keep serving cunt, do your thing. But yeah, I think this is the kind of film that you want to share that experience with an audience. With the first film, as I was saying, my partner and I had such a good time at the cinema because everyone was really respectful and people were laughing and having a good time, and you could just tell that there was that energy there. Whereas here there was 5 people in the cinema, including my partner and I, and it was silent throughout, which is fine. But I do think this is the kind of film that you want to share that experience with other people. I know I did say this was an M-rated movie, so I knew not to expect a whole lot of blood and gore going in, even though I do love some gore. But when we left the cinema, my partner asked me if it was M or if it was PG, and I was like, yeah, it was definitely M, but I got where he was coming from. I think that they could have taken out, like if they took out some of the coarse language and some of the blood splatters throughout, they could have gotten away with a PG rating. But would the movie really be as popular as the first one if it was PG? No, probably not. So I think you know, it makes sense that they had to keep some of that in there, and also appealing to a wider audience as well. So it makes sense. But like I said, it was still enjoyable. Like, you know, it's a movie about a killer AI doll at the end of the day. There was also a couple scenes throughout the film that reminded me of other series and movies. One scene in particular felt like, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but they were talking about what it was like having AI, you know, back in the day in the 70s and 80s. And I just remember being reminded of this recent show I watched on Netflix called Cassandra, which is an AI series. And I do recommend checking it out. It's fun. But yeah, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it reminded me of that. And then another scene towards the end of the film was so X-Men coded. I was thinking, I'm not sure if this again is intentional, but I was watching the screen like, this is a lot like a particular character from X-Men and what they can do. So yeah, I'm not gonna say anything to spoil anything, but yeah, I thought that was interesting. So with the first film, there's obviously this underlying message that technology can be bad for us and that overuse what it can lead to. And Katie's obviously developing this attachment to Megan and becoming codependent on her. And I think Megan was a metaphor for, you know, the devices that we give, well, not that I have kids, but the devices that parents give to their kids and how they can become dependent on them. And I thought that was a really strong message in the first film, whereas this one I feel like it was more for entertainment value. But maybe I missed something in this film that others caught, and you know, that's totally fine. You know, people interpret things in different ways. There was a moment in the sequel in this film where Gemma talks about how AI, you know, with limited and certain use, it can be a good thing, and how we can use it, and what we can use it for. And there was that moment at the end there where she spoke about that. So I did like that they added that in there, especially for a movie that's so focused, you know, its main focus is AI. So yeah, with these films, you can just enjoy them, you know, you can just enjoy them for what they are, the entertainment value, the popcorn entertainment. You don't really have to take you don't have to take them seriously or think too hard about them. But yeah, like I said, the first one did have that message in it that I really liked. And I found in this one as well, the characters had more depth to them. Gemma definitely felt less cold in this one compared to the first one. She actually, you know, felt like she was, I don't want to say ready to be a parent or like she was Katie's mum or anything, but you could tell that she did really have a deeper connection to Katie and that she really did care for her. And yeah, she definitely had more depth and emotion to her character in this, I thought. And Katie as well, she was less of a brat in this one. I know in the first one, she lost her parents and was grieving and was obviously going through a lot. So, you know, that was a lot to handle for her in the first film. So, like, it's excused, I suppose, but, you know, she's just not more of a brat in this one, and she's more tolerable, I would say. And if you liked the dance sequence in the first film, you will get that with this one as well. It's, yeah, again, it's definitely more comedic, this one. Not horror at all. If you liked, yeah, the sci-fi and the comedy, you'll get that again. And I think there was more campiness this time around as well. But yeah, I personally don't feel the need to rewatch this one. It was really fun for a one-time watch. But yeah, as I said, I do prefer the first one more than this one. Going with an open mind, go in and just turn your brain off, have a good time. Like I said, you might get some things out of this film that maybe I didn't. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. If you do like, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Yeah, thanks for watching.